Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into the second issue of Exceptional X-Men. After the emotional setup of issue number 1, this issue is going to continue Kitty Pryde's journey as she grapples with her past and her place in the post-Krakoa world. So we start off with Kitty working at the bar she works at in Chicago now, and endearingly we find out that Trista has been texting Kitty, that is the mutant that she saved in the first issue, and essentially Trista is like, well, we have to have some kind of relationship or dynamic, and Kitty is like, look, I get it, but you know, you're a teen and I'm an adult, so you need your own friends. And then we find out that the date that Kitty Pryde previously didn't go on in the first issue, she is actually going on it in this issue, and she's gonna meet her date at the date's little cousin's high school soccer game. Also, just want to call out here that she mentions her date's name is Nina, and that she does local theater, and she says it's great because it's not improv. That's crucial. You know, look, Kitty, as someone who has studied at improv conservatories, as someone who knows their way around the second beat of a herald, fair. It's kind of fair, I get it. We then cut to the game where we see Kitty on her date, and we also get a little bit of telepathic probing from Emma here. At least I can safely assume it's Emma based on her role in this book, and you know, the blue frosty text. We also meet a couple of new mutants here in this scene, which I'm very excited that this book seems to be trending towards sort of a New Mutants Claremont style adjacent thing where it's dealing with younger mutants coming into their own and just dealing with the turmoil of adolescence. I hope that's the path we're going. It seems like that's the setup with Kate as the mentor. I'm not sure what role Emma will play, but I like it all so far. So one of those mutants is named Alex, and they have a much more explicit mutation. Even in the first issue of this book, actually, Kitty mentioned something around the idea of her being a mutant who passes in society, can look like just your average human. So I don't really know what his deal or power set is yet, but he's basically a bulkier looking green dude, or greenish, pea colored, kind of gold hued too, actually. I guess I don't know how to describe what color he is. That's aside from the point though. The point is, he does have this external mutant look, so it's very clear to people that he is a mutant, and he ends up getting hassled by some of the students who are there watching the game. And he tries to just, you know, sort of be chill and relaxed about it, ignoring these guys, but they seem intent on causing a problem. Also, just want to note, it looks like he turns blue here, too, so he may just have colors that sort of shift, I don't know. I do want to point out a slightly weird moment in the dialogue, and maybe it's just that I'm not understanding things properly, so I think that is totally a possibility, but there is this moment when the ringleader who's bullying Alex basically sort of stutters, mutants make me so upset, I don't know why, I don't even know you, why should I care that you came to a soccer game? This is how my dad handles everything, yells at people, starts stuff, and that seems odd for me to hear just one of these teens saying. It's almost like weirdly self-aware but also oblivious, which the obliviousness of a teenager exhibiting bigotry I think makes sense. The weird self-awareness here like struck me as a little bit odd, like my dad did this so I'm doing this. I thought at first it was Emma influencing this telepathically somehow and like getting this kid to say things off his chest and sort of this is the real problem that I have and it's why I'm externalizing my anger and violence towards you. So he says it out loud so he hears it and his friends hear it. I just feel like Emma's done stuff like that before, or in more severe cases she's had that example where she's like, hey, if you ever think anything bigoted again about certain like minority groups or whatever, you will instantly feel violence sick to your stomach. I've locked that in your head, things like that. So I thought this was something like that, but then they kind of just move on from it. And as all that is going on, we get Tao, who is one of the soccer players in the game, saying, hey, are we not gonna like stick up for this mutant who's being bullied out there in the stands? Like, what are we doing? Which, this is great. I already love this character. I can tell. I can empathize with this sense of justice. We then get Tao trying to communicate with Alex to see if they are in distress, and the way Tao does this is trying to communicate via, I guess, this hand signal that has been popping up a couple of times here and there in this era, at least that I've seen so far, which is essentially just like making an M with your hand, but as Alex points out, if you don't know that it's sort of meant to represent mutant solidarity post-Krakoa, like we don't have Krakoa anymore, but we can still signal to each other that we're mutants and proud and we're there for each other and all that. If you don't know all that, it does just look like someone is doing gang signs with their hands, and that's basically what Alex says, like, what is this person doing? Then we cut back to Kitty, who is on her date. You know, they're talking about how Kitty did dancing and martial arts stuff growing up, which I love that, sort of calling back to the dance classes with Stevie and everything and the X-Men and New Mutants. Beautiful. And then her martial arts reference, probably meaning just danger room training, but also in the Kitty Pryde and Wolverine series, she does undergo like some severe psychological training through Shogun and Wolverine, I believe, in that series later on. We then get Kitty and her date witnessing Alex being bullied, and this is a small moment, but I really, really like it because the date says, "Aw man, kids can be awful." And Kitty responds with, "Yeah, kids, adults, governments." And that sort of takes the date off guard. She's like, oh, definitely, yeah, them too. I hope this is a little thread that we can pull further on here too, or it's setting some thematic stuff up in the future, because to me, I read that and I see, you know, this date just being like, yeah, kids are awful. And then Kitty really reflecting back this deep-seated disillusionment with systematic oppression and societal failures that have been, you know, informed by her time being a mutant and being a member of the X-Men, and her date sort of reacting like, oh yeah, that too. You know, it could just be it took her off guard, but it also kind of suggests to me a disconnection and sort of lack of shared experience there. Obviously, I don't think this character is a mutant, I don't know, but also like that discomfort with those heavy topics. And again, it's like a first date, so maybe the unwillingness to engage in like the broader implications of what Kitty's saying is fine, and also not that like that would have needed to be expanded upon anyway. But it's very interesting and I like the moment a lot. But before much else can be said there, Tao jumps into the stands and confronts these bullies who have been messing with Alex. And as some childish insults are being slung back and forth, things eventually resort to violence, and one of the boys tries to attack Tao. But we get to see Tao's mutant ability here. Yes, that's right, Tao is one of our new mutants. And basically it looks like they've got sort of a ghost-like ability, phasing powers essentially, which is also Kitty Pryde's powers, and that's obviously no coincidence in this book. I imagine it's going to be much more difficult for Kitty Pryde to turn down mentoring students when especially one of them basically mirrors and reflects the exact power set that she had to deal with growing up with too. So yeah, just a little bit of chaos ensues here. The kids all sort of break out into this fight, and Kitty's date is like, oh man, I gotta get out of here. I gotta take Grace, my cousin who we came to see the game, gotta take her home away from all this. Again, just like kind of a striking choice from the date. Not that, again, it's not necessarily wrong, but it does juxtapose really Kitty Pryde's decision, which, so the date leaves, and then Kitty Pryde jumps in to help the 3-on-1 that is happening with Tao versus these bullies. And by the way, that's the Kitty I like to see, the one who will jump into action when others are being hurt or when an injustice is being committed. And again, I get how in the first issue they were really trying to show how disillusionment can weigh down someone and sort of corrupt their own sense of self and confidence in their own abilities, but I guess to me it felt a little unnecessary, especially considering how fast Kitty sort of shifts back to instinctively helping others, because it's satisfying to me to see her return to that positivity and that aid that I think is a core part of her character. But briefly detouring away from that just seemed a little redundant to me, I guess. And again, especially since we're here in issue 2 and she's already sort of demonstrated her readiness to reclaim that essential part of herself. So it makes the other thing feel less impactful, I guess. I don't know, maybe I'm the only one who has an issue with this. Then we basically get Alex and Tao getting surrounded here by the bullies. We learn that they both do have powers that they just can't access on command. And Kitty comes in to save the day, putting her hand on each of their shoulders and phasing them under the bleachers into safety. Then we get this little scene where Tao argues with Kitty for helping them, saying they had everything under control themselves, and Kitty basically makes the argument back that you were kind of creating a scene that was risky for everyone involved. And Tao displays some anger here, or then just sort of attempts to storm off. Before we continue though, I do want to call out that I think Tao is really cool and interesting, and definitely has to be an homage to Roberto da Costa, Sunspot from the original New Mutants, because, I don't know, maybe I'm just seeing things, similarities, and that's just part of the nature of the tapestry of comics that have been going on for so long. But, you know, we're at a soccer game. That's where Roberto's powers first manifested. At that game, they manifested because he was subject of discrimination and bigotry. And then we get this moment where Tao accidentally phases through one of the bleacher beams and gets stuck within it. And it is this sort of nice, endearing moment where Kitty calms them down a little bit and says like, okay, focus on your body, start with your head, I'm going to help you through this. And she helps Tao get out of it. Then Kitty leaves Alex and Tao, who just sort of have this brief conversation of Alex being like, why did you help me? And Tao being like, because injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Again, love it. Then we get Kitty returning to her date, and the cousin is, you know, upset because the game was canceled because of this fight. And the date says, yeah, seems like your teammate has a pretty short fuse. And I don't know, the way that she's talking with her cousin here seems like there's definitely something being set up where this character may not have too fond feelings for mutants, and that's some revelation Kitty is going to make later on. I don't know. And it looks like we get the continuation of Emma Frost probing into Kitty's mind, because as she's driving home from her date, we see Emma saying another one who can phase, and some sort of moody empath, which I guess that is why that character's Alex, his colors were shifting. Then we see Tao texting Kitty Pryde, and so it just seems like all these teens are now looking to Kitty Pryde for something, and Kitty's like, okay, you know, it's fine that you blew up on me earlier and everything, all good, there is someone I want you to meet. Then we get Trista, Alex, and Tao all coming together, 3 young mutants put together by Kitty, almost similar to how, you know, maybe Charles Xavier put together his class of mutants, or how Emma Frost put together her Hellions, her class of mutants. Seems like Kitty has now been the forming bond for these 3 young mutants. We also here learn that Alex used to be a chess player, but he had to step away from it because of his mutant appearance and just dealing with all of that. And we learn that Tao is interested in political coalitions and organizing. Then we get this really beautifully illustrated flashback scene of Kitty back in the malt shop with Storm, something that happened way, way, way back in Uncanny X-Men by Claremont, literally from Kitty's first appearance. And it is this really interesting juxtaposition from the last scene with Trista, Alex, and Tao in their malt shop, talking about what they've gone through as mutants, engaging in some camaraderie, and we get that flashback with Kitty that is a moment imbued with hope and familial promise from Storm, as she says, like, Kitty, you are one of a kind, I'm one of a kind. The X-Men will not only teach you, they're gonna be your family forever and always. And I like this because it's showcasing this idea of the new generation of mutants, you know, sort of finding their footing in this world, while older members like Kitty are grappling with like the momentous loss and weight of their past. But the importance is the concept of family and how central that is, and community. And I think what is being well set up here is a very classic trope, but I love it. I don't think it's a bad trope at all, where, you know, the students end up teaching the teacher. I mean, really, what is gonna shake Kitty out of this funk like the wide-eyed mirth and idealism of youth? Then these 3, who have been set up to hang out by Kitty Pryde, all end up going to Kitty Pryde's apartment, which I think is very funny of them, and they're like basically just trying to get her out of the house and be a mentor to them, or a friend to them, I suppose. We don't know explicitly why they came, and they probably don't even know either why and what they wanted from this specific interaction. They're teens, they do impulsive fun things. But Kitty is like, no, seriously guys, this is inappropriate, just go home, you shouldn't be here. And then she opens the door, and boom, big reveal, Emma Frost is there, looking great, might I add, saying, hey, no need to trouble yourself, dear. I'll see to it that these young people get exactly what they need. I don't know what Emma's up to right now, if she's trying to rebuild the Massachusetts Academy where she formerly had her Hellions as her students, or otherwise, but it seems like she's got them all under her mind control and is taking them away, and Kitty's like, wait, Emma, no! And that is where we're left off in this issue. So, what am I thinking about this? How am I feeling about the series so far? Well, I'm really enjoying it so far. I think there's a lot of great stuff that has been set up, and it will all sort of come down to the execution. But I'll say, before I was cautiously optimistic about this book, right now, I'm just feeling optimistic about it. I like this New Mutants vibe that we're going with. I like our cast of characters, and I like all the seeds that are being planted. Like I said, probably the biggest way you'd lose me at this point is just if none of them really come to fruition, but that doesn't seem to be the case at all. I think we're going great places with this book. Alright, thank you guys so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you think about Exceptional X-Men so far. Okay, have a great rest of your day.